What's up, boys and girls of YouTube? Chris here from the Tiger's Den, and I want to talk a little bit more about Pokemon Sword and Shield. So, I have been perusing the articles that were put out for our front page special for Pokemon Sword and Shield this month of October, a month before its November 15th release date, and a couple of things really struck out at me. So I wanted to talk about casuals versus legacy players is really how I look at it. Now, if you're a legacy player, you've picked up pretty much every Pokemon in the series. You're heavily involved in playing competitive, whether it's online, whether it's local meetups. You're heavily involved in it. You're also discussing the game probably online with people you know, people you don't know. You're in forums, what have you. Now, a casual player is someone like myself. I would even note someone like Spawnwave, who admitted he's been out for a few generations. That's a casual. That's someone that's not keeping up with the latest and greatest of the series. That's okay to be either or. But I wanted to discuss, I think, the disconnect between Pokemon Sword and Shield and you, the legacy players that may be watching this. This Pokemon game is not just for you. I want to reiterate that. This Pokemon game is not just for you. It's become really evident between the mobile games that the Pokemon Company is pushing, Pokemon Let's Go, and some of the features added and removed from this Pokemon, that they're gearing up to increase their audience base. Now, when a company does this, it's because they realize that sustaining profits with the previous base is just not going to cut it for them anymore. We've seen this in multiple different genres. We've seen it in multiple different areas where people move to make a game series a little more gateway to bring more people in. It's similar to why a lot of companies don't do numbered game series, because it creates a barrier of entry. How can I play Uncharted 3 when I haven't played Uncharted 2 or 1? We've seen that multiple times. I think Pokemon does a really good job of not numbering its series like that, as does Zelda or now Mario. However, that doesn't mean that there's still not gatekeeping in the series. And a couple of the things that I noted in my previous video that were addressed in the article are, I think, to rectify that. One is de-emphasizing breeding. Breeding is something for hardcore legacy players. It's not even something most legacy players I'm aware of engage in. But what it does is creates a perpetual cycle of players feeling like they have to min-max every Pokemon they catch late game to remain competitive. I've never been a fan of breeding. One, because it's just weird. Okay? It's just a weird concept to have in what is effectively, I'm sorry, a child's game. That's not to say that there's anything wrong with adults playing Pokemon, but let's be frank, this does not have an adult theme. Pokemon in itself is not an adult theme. I've ran across this in the board game industry with a game that you can see on the back there, Beastmaster's Duel, which is that the theme is cutesy and the theme is colorful, like Pokemon. Well, that's not something that's immediately a draw for Brian, age 35, from Cincinnati. God of War might be, because that's something that Brian, age 35, the adult, is going to immediately be captured by. So, why are they trying to appeal more to casuals? Well, the success, frankly, of Pokemon Go. I don't think any of us can deny how successful the game has been profit-wise for the Pokemon Company. And because of that, they understand that that player base needs to somehow be converted to the Pokemon games. And to do that, you need to remove some of those barriers of entry. Not all of them, because a lot of them are what make these games truly special. Okay? But some of them. And breeding was the first one, I think, that almost altogether needed to be cut. Now, the other one goes into my National Dex argument, which is in the controversy of whether the National Dex should or shouldn't be in this game. I'm a huge shouldn't, because I believe that the National Dex does nothing but perpetuate the thing I just talked about, which is min-maxing Pokemon and bringing them to and fro. The argument I've seen to justify it is, oh, well, you want to be able to play through the campaign with your old Pokemon. That, to my understanding, has never actually been possible. You've only been able to get access to those Pokemon after you've already played through the game, in which at that point, why do you need them? Other than playing competitively, why do you need them? And if we're talking about playing competitively and the de-emphasis on breeding, that's going to bring me to my next point about this Pokemon and why this is the best Pokemon I think that will have been made. When it is released, I believe that I'll be able to look back on it and say, objectively, this is the best Pokemon to date. Okay, competitively, the ability to bring in your Pokemon that you have min-maxed from previous generations. This created something in the article that stood out to me, which was that they wanted Pokemon you caught in the very beginning of the game to be relevant towards the end of the game. Now, this is a great example to me, going all the way back to my childhood days of, if I want to be competitive, that Wigglytuff I have that I adore, that Pidgeot that I evolved from a level 3 Pidgey, the Butterfree that I caught at Caterpie and worked it all the way through, and this is pre-XP share days, okay? I had to harden and then switch him out and bring someone in to bat cleanup. All those Pokemon were pretty much irrelevant by the end of the game because you had legendaries with better stats. You had catches with better stats. So their emphasis on being able to, say, catch that Corgi in the very beginning and then use it all the way to the end of the game, use it in competitive play, that speaks to me. That speaks to casual players, that they can pick this up, run with their favorites, and make a day out of it.
Hi.
Hi, honey.
Who's gonna come here?
Come here. Camille wants to share her thoughts on Pokemon. What do you see?
Hi. I'm Camille. Camille.
So Camille's going to sit in on the rest of these thoughts shared. And that is simple, okay? It's that I want to be able to catch my Pokemon, use them from start to finish, and remain competitive. That speaks to the casuals, and frankly, it speaks to the balancing issues that Pokemon's had since day one. Obviously, she agrees. However, she's not even 3. She's not even 3 yet. So what the heck does she know? Anyway, so what that comes to me with is that this Pokemon is a Pokemon that's meant to be for everyone. Okay? This is a Pokemon that's meant to be for everyone. And that's the difference between this Pokemon and I would say arguably the last 2 to 3 generations. This is a Pokemon that's meant to open the doors and bring in a larger fan base. And I think another thing that does that, yes, the Nintendo Switch does not have the install base yet that the DS does. Or did. Whichever. But the Nintendo Switch does have a broader fan base than the DS does.
She's my friend.
But the Nintendo Switch does have a broader base than the DS does, which was predominantly marketed and owned by children. The Nintendo Switch is usually...
I say true.
You need to be quiet. So what I hope is that you will take a look at the Nintendo Switch's Pokemon...
What's that thing? What's that thing?
What is that?
That's a bird.
That's Sobble.
He's a unicorn.
No, that's a fish with a horn.
He's got a horn.
Camille, what Pokemon is that?
Bombshell.
What's that guy's name?
That's Bombshell.
Okay. So what we've established is that this Pokemon game is for everyone. And I hope you'll join me keeping an open mind for this Pokemon. And that you'll give it a chance the same way I will.
Give it a chance. I say chance.
And Camille agrees.
I'm telling trees.
Anyway, this has been Chris. This has been the Tiger's Den. You guys have been great. Thank you so much. Please drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and if it's not too much trouble, hit that notification icon as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another video about Pokemon Sword and Shield.
I'll talk to her.
Say bye.
Bye.